pictures were shot by me. We were on the Circle Line cruise. It was a 75-minute cruise to take a look at the Statue of Liberty. And as we were coming back, ready to back into the dock, we saw this. I saw the plane and the helicopter in very close proximity, and I thought, this is really close, and I wanted to take a picture of the two together in the same photograph, and instead I ended up taking the picture of the crash.
And did it look to you, as the mayor said, that it was the plane that essentially rear-ended the helicopter?
That's what it looks like. The wing of the plane seemed to have come down. As you can see from the photographs, the plane seemed to be a little bit higher than the helicopter. The plane first, the wing of the plane first came down. The plane started to come down, and then in a later picture you see the propellers of the helicopter starting to separate right there in that photograph.
Now that picture, can we just go back to the picture that we just had on the air there? Was that the picture that you took when you noticed that this plane and the helicopter were sort of close to each other? So this picture here is actually taken literally seconds before the plane clipped the helicopter. This is before the crash.
This is right after the crash.
This is right after the crash.
Because one wing is not there, you know, you can see it in the airplane.
So you saw the wing actually, you saw the wing fall off of the plane?
If you zoom out, actually, there's a photograph of the wing is actually in the photograph on the right-hand side as well.
That's one of the pictures where you see the wing of the plane missing because it clipped that helicopter, the smoke coming from the helicopter indicating that the plane hit the helicopter from behind. The plane was on top. In other words, the helicopter was flying at a lower altitude, and then you saw that plane come down and hit it. Do we have another picture she was describing
there it is. There it is. That's the actual crash, and you see the wing of the plane on the top with the smoke.
Does it look to you like the plane was descending? It was lowering its altitude? Could you tell?
It's really hard to say. It happened so quickly, and I was just trying to get my camera ready to take pictures of both of them in the same shot, so it's really hard to tell.
Shalon, you were with your mom and your grandmother. You were on board Liberty Cruise Line. You guys took off from Battery Park. You circled around to see the Statue of Liberty. You were with them when you saw this. What were you thinking when you were looking up into the sky?
Well, I was thinking it could be from a movie or something, because I know lots of movies are being shot around New York, but when I realized that it was real, it was pretty hard to believe that this could actually be happening.
Indra, describe what you were witnessing yourself.
The first thing is that we were going on the same cruise, this helicopter ride, but then first thing was, thank God we didn't go that, you know, so that was my first impression. And then everything was so, you know, they were coming, more helicopters are coming, and then we were watching all what is happening, you know, that was more, you know, but it was very much tragic to see that, feeling sorry for those people who are there, you know.
Tanya, you were telling me, you guys are from Canada. You're here in New York City visiting for a week like thousands of tourists do on a weekend. And you actually went onto the City Sites website, or you contacted City Sites. You booked this trip. And your options were either take a helicopter trip over New York City or take the ferry and a bus tour around New York City. You decided to go with the ferry tour because it was a little cheaper and you'd have some extra money left over for food. But you were actually considering going, as one of the many tourists that often do, flying over New York City.
That's right. Originally, that was our plan. We were this close to booking a helicopter ride, and at the last minute, we decided, you know what? Let's just have some nice meals in New York instead. And you know, it makes us glad that we chose that option now. Not to say that we were necessarily going to be up at that same time, but
well, it's such a tragedy.
It's very sad.
And, I mean, it must be quite emotional to have witnessed such a thing.
There were 600 people on the boat, and there were some people who were crying, you know, the shock of it all, and it was very, very difficult.
Shalon, I mean, how old are you?
14.
You're 14 years old. Is this your first time in New York City?
Yeah.
This is your first time in New York City, and when you come into New York City, I'm sure you're pretty impressed by the beautiful scenery and so forth. When you were on board, with all those tourists that were on board the cruise line, what do you remember the reaction of all the other tourists that were on board with you?
There was a lot of surprise. Lots of people were sad. I know for me, I was feeling pretty sad about it and wondering how this could possibly happen. And
And did you guys think to yourselves, these planes, this plane and this helicopter were carrying tourists just like yourselves?
I know. It's when that realization hit that really it started to sink in as to what was going on. Because as I was taking pictures, it felt like this was just a movie that we were watching.
Well, unfortunately, it was no movie, and these are the very first pictures to be seen of the mid-air collision between a light plane and a tourist helicopter. 9 people in all lost their lives at that very moment, perhaps, or when it crashed into the Hudson River. 2 bodies recovered. 9 people in all were killed, including a child and 5 Italian tourists. And we thank you so much for sharing these pictures exclusively with Fox News. Shalon Stone, Indra Singh, Sonia Singh, all members of one family out on a boat sightseeing, and thankful that you chose not to take that helicopter ride.
We are happy to do that.
Well, thank you very much for sharing these pictures, and they really are incredible. And just like Shalon said, he thought it was like a movie because people come into New York City and they know that a lot of movies are filmed here. Tragedy on the Hudson could be the title of it, but it was reality. This was not a movie. Certainly a tragic end to a vacation. Thank you very much, though, for talking to us.